One UI 6.1 is now officially here. Well, almost. Daniel here from SamMobile TV, and we've got our hands on the official One UI 6.1 update for the Galaxy S23 Ultra. We're going to show you everything you need to know before it officially releases globally on March 28th. Yes, I just got the update for One UI 6.1 on my Galaxy S23 Ultra. I've also got it on my Z Fold 5, which is uploaded in a separate video, so make sure you go check that out after you check this out as well. This is the big update, the one that brings all of the Galaxy AI goodness that we've been enjoying on the S24 series since the start of the year. So let's break down the update according to Samsung's release notes and go through all of them and kind of pick out the best ones that are worth sort of knowing about right now. We're going to start with Galaxy AI because this is the main part of the update where all of the new stuff sort of is coming from. Then we'll try and uncover any features that weren't mentioned as well after we go through the most prominent things in the release notes. The first line you see with Galaxy AI is circle to search. Amazingly, Samsung and Google have brought it with the very first update with One UI 6.1 to the S23 series, which is fantastic news. Some people might have thought this could have came later in the year, but it's so good to see it now. In action, the circle to search is very simple. Using the navigation bar at the bottom, when you hold it down to press on it, you just circle whatever it is on the screen, and using Google's search recognition algorithm, whatever it is, it will show you a list of things based on what you have searched for. Whether that be an object, whether that be an object or venue, doesn't really matter. It will show you the relevant information in the bottom, and away you go. Very good. The next line in there is the call assist, translating phone calls. We obviously had Bixby Text Call last year with the S23. Samsung have now added with One UI 6.1 the option to live translate phone calls. Now, I don't need to demonstrate it. We know how this works, but basically to turn it on, go into the phone app, into settings, and into the live translate menu. In here, you can tweak the language packs. You can tweak your language, the caller's language that you're speaking to. You can mute your voice, mute their voice, a whole bunch of things that you can do in here to set this up. And then when you're ready to make a phone call, you go ahead and do it. It's that good. Keeping in the theme of translation, Samsung have put an interpreter app in here. Now this is on device too, so it's an app that is just sitting on the phone, not like Google's Translate, which is a web-based service. With this, you basically download the language packs to your phone, set the person you're talking to's language, set your language, and away you go. There's some settings in here that you can tweak, like tap to talk instead of having it be like a conversational type flow. Basically, you talk, say your words, and then it'll show the language that you've asked it to translate to, and also speak it on top of that also. The cool thing I like about this app is there's a button to flip the card around. So obviously it thinks that you're talking opposite someone, and most of the time you are, and you can have it display that way and this way for you. Clever. There's a really cool thing now in the camera that allows you to scan documents, but also gives you some more options once you have identified a document. When you see the little text icon in the bottom corner, when it recognizes text, it'll bring up some different menu options for you to play around with. One, you can just copy all the text that is there, but if you select a portion of the text, you can hit translate from the little pop-up that appears. Then you pick your language that you want to translate it to, and it will translate it in the bottom. Very clever, and just gives you that little bit of peace of mind that when you're going around places, you have a really quick option to translate text that you can see. That translate option also appears in web pages. This has probably been my favorite thing to use, this Samsung Internet AI that they've introduced. When you're on a website that's got a lot of text, like an article perhaps, using the AI button in the toolbar, you can either summarize or translate. Summarize will do as advertised. It will literally summarize that body of text, whether you want it to be standard or you can also change it to detailed. And then you can copy that and put that somewhere else. But you can also translate. So if you've got a website that you want to translate to your native language, for example, hit translate, and it won't just translate with an overlay. It will keep the formatting of the website that you're translating, and even things like tweets or posts from X that are embedded in the website will also get translated. Pretty cool. That body of text that we summarized from the website before, we can bring that into Samsung Notes because Samsung Notes also has AI, but it goes a little bit further. When you first click the AI button, it sort of tells you the things that Samsung Notes can do with its new AI functionality. When you press the button after that, it brings up the 4 options. The thing I really like is auto format. where you press the button for auto format and you can choose meeting notes or bullet points. And what it will do is it will actually then format it according to what you've selected. Brilliant. And you can swipe through a couple of different styles and then choose to replace the text that you've actually chosen to format without even having to really do much. It does it all for you. There's a summarize function, which does as advertised. It summarizes the body of text for you, which is really good. And there's the translate and spelling, but seeing as how this is from our website, no need to spell check. Samsung also built transcriptions into the voice recorder app. So when you go into voice recorder now and you select an existing voice recording, or even if you're recording a new one, the transcription service will listen to the text that you've recorded and then actually break it down by speaker who said what in a transcription. And you can see it works really, really quickly and then shows you in that format where it's got speaker 1, speaker 2, who said what. And in the same way you can do it in Samsung Notes, you can summarize. Hit the summary button and then it will take that text and summarize it in a few different points. So you can then copy and paste that out to an email. It's very clever. And if you do a lot of voice recording or voice notes, this will be a godsend for you. Samsung have also built AI into the keyboard. So Samsung's keyboard now gives you a few different flexible options as well. Not only can you live translate in chat using Google Messages and WhatsApp and a couple other third-party message services, you can enter text and it will translate their messages and your messages live without needing to copy and paste out. What I've shown you here is the ability to translate in the keyboard itself, no matter what the messaging app, but it'll only do your messages this way. What you can also do is have different chat styles. So if you think something's a little bit too harsh or aggressive, or you're not quite happy with what you've wrote, you can hit chat styles and it will generate a list of different styles of chat based off what you've wrote. So then it will maybe give you something a bit more polite, a bit more formal, a bit more casual, a bit more professional, and then you can choose to replace it into the text box before you hit send. It's a really clever tool, and I think one that you could use in emails, messages to mates, doesn't really matter. The option's there with One UI 6.1. This next one was probably the headline of the Galaxy S24, and that's the generative edit in the gallery. When you've got a photo that you're not quite happy with, whether that be the object that's in there, whether that be the orientation of the object or the photo, using the new Galaxy AI button inside the image editor, you press that and you have some options here to use cloud-based AI to edit the photo. You can select on a subject and you can drag the size bigger or smaller, which means you can remove that and make it smaller in the picture and then generate that, or you can remove it entirely and generate that as well. Because it's cloud-based, it does take a while, so you just have to be a bit patient with it. But basically what it's doing is it's just generating an entirely new background for that area of the photo that you've removed the option from. Sometimes it works really well, and sometimes it doesn't. The other way you can use this is using the little angle slider down the bottom. If, let's say, the photo's crooked, which my one wasn't, but you get the idea, it will then generate the gaps. So if you hit generate, once those gaps are created, it will fill in those gaps, and this did work really, really well. So there is some really good use cases for how Samsung implemented this, and this is definitely one of them. It will leave a visible watermark in the bottom left corner, so just be wary of that. An extension of that, I guess you could say, is the wallpaper generative AI, where you can actually generate AI wallpapers. Now, it's not just whatever prompt you like. You do have some sort of boundaries to sort of form within, but in the wallpaper menu under generative and creative, I think it might be, you can generate based off some prompts. So if you pick a sort of a category, and then there's different sort of things within that sentence that you can change, like color or landscape, and hit generate, it gives you multiple different options that you can then use as your wallpaper. It's very clever, and just another sort of AI tool that you have at your disposal with One UI 6.1 now on your S23. All of these can be found inside the Advanced Intelligence menu inside Advanced Features in the settings. So you can go here, you can see the settings for each individual item, and then jump straight to them from here as well. It's great that Samsung have put this all in one place and just gives you that shortcut to go to the one that you're potentially looking for if you can't quite remember where it is. In the next sort of subheading, the create epic images, classic Samsung marketing, we're not going to go through everything in here. I just want to hand select a couple of the really cool ones that I think you'll enjoy. Samsung have brought the AI photo editing recommendations for when you swipe up. So there was an element of this in One UI 6, but it was very formative. Samsung have contextualized it a lot more, and it uses a bit more AI to recognize what it is you're swiping up on. So this one, for example, erase reflections definitely popped up straight away because it recognized some reflections in the photo. Takes you straight to that, erase the reflections, happy days. Something that I thought was really cool was the improved copy and paste that Samsung have introduced. So you can long press on a photo to select a subject, copy it, and then in another photo with the 3 dots down the bottom, you can paste it from clipboard directly onto the photo, and it brings up the edit menu and you can play around with it. Quite clever and intuitive, and I like that seamlessness that Samsung have introduced here. The other thing that's quite notable in here is the improved search function in the gallery. When you go to the search toolbar and you can see the search menu, the categories are a lot more sort of advanced, and I like the bottom one with the shot styles. Sometimes I'm looking for a specific one and I can't quite remember what album it's in, whereas this will bring all of those shot styles together just from this option down the bottom. Heading into customization options, again, we're just going to pick a couple out of here. Samsung have brought the wallpaper edit features from the S24's One UI 6.1 into here, and there's some really cool things that have been added. So for example, if you have a subject as your wallpaper background, you can actually apply some effects to this. So you can blur the background, you can change the colors. Samsung have also added the frame effects as well, where you can frame that photo, change the color. Now this obviously doesn't work with lock screen because it doesn't have the lock screen wallpaper, but you can kind of play around with that by making the wallpaper and the lock screen wallpaper black with this frame. It's a bit of a workaround, but it definitely is not the same thing. Samsung have also brought the widgets to the lock screen and always on display. So you just bring this up, you on the lock screen, hold down, hit widgets, and you can see the extensive list of widgets. And then once you add them, you can see them on both the lock screen and always on display, which is cool. There's some other updates in here that are probably worth checking out. There's a stack to do with modes and routines, and Samsung have built a lot of shortcuts with modes and routines into here, so worth checking them out too. With some of the settings that Samsung have updated, I called it out in the last video that we did here on the channel, but Samsung have brought the protect battery features from S24 into S23. So the 3 protect battery features that you had are here now. So that's the basic, that's the adaptive, and that's the aggressive. I don't think it's called aggressive, but it's the one that's 80%. So those 3 options are now there, and it's better than the 85% one that was there before. So now in the battery menu, in protect battery, you have these options. Now, I kind of like to comb through. Now, I haven't had a lot of time with One UI 6.1 on the S23, so I can't say I've seen everything, but some stuff that I have found is that animations are far better. Samsung have completely revamped the animations interaction from One UI 6 to One UI 6.1. I was hoping they would bring it to S23, and they did. All of the stuff where it sort of moves with your movement, it's a lot smoother, it's a lot quicker, and I think a lot of people that have got the S23 Ultra, it'll make it feel like a fresh phone with these animations. So good job, Samsung. Diving into the camera. Obviously, I haven't had the chance to test any camera outputs because it's middle of the night here as I'm recording this. But what I have noticed is a couple of features that have been snuck in there. The first is in Camera Assistant. Samsung have added 2 things that were from S24 Ultra to the S23 Ultra. The first is the 100x zoom crop. That's been snuck in. Ridiculous, but it's there. You also have way down the bottom of Camera Assistant audio monitoring. This one was really cool. I did something about this in the 10 secret camera features video here on the channel. Basically, audio monitoring, you can pair Bluetooth headphones and it will monitor the video noise as you're sort of recording. So you can hear if it's too loud, too soft, and make your adjustments accordingly. Really clever. The only camera feature that I noticed an update for was single take. It got the ability now to use any of the rear cameras on the back to take a single take shot. None of the other camera features that I saw from S24 have actually made it. Director's view is still the same. Super slow-mo is still there. There's no zoom in portrait video. There's no 4K option for auto framing, or the ability to use any of the cameras for auto framing are exclusive for S24 Ultra at the moment. Doesn't look like they'll come to S23 Ultra, which is a shame. Also, you might find interesting, no 24 megapixel option in Expert RAW, despite the main camera effectively being the same. Again, exclusive S24 Ultra feature. Obviously, as we interact with this phone more with One UI 6.1, there will be other things that we find, but as of now, this is all the main stuff that I think is very important, headlined of course by Galaxy AI. Potentially can even make an updated S23 Ultra versus S24 Ultra video, but I might wait for S24 Ultra to get that fabled April camera update to do that. So let me know if you want that in the comments below. Please subscribe. This video has taken me all night to put together, so hopefully you appreciate it, and you can go and watch all the other stuff we've got on the channel as well. Come and find us on all our other socials. We've got heaps of different platforms that we're on, and also our website, because there's comprehensive Samsung coverage on there as well. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.